I was adopted as a baby and I can never remember a time when I didn't know that. Granted, my parents are white and I'm Mexican, so they didn't exactly have the luxury of lying to me about it, lol. But they would have told me either way. I remember in my childhood bedroom there was a framed cross-stitch poem that said, "Not flesh of my flesh, nor bone of my bone, but still miraculously my own. Never forget for a single minute, you weren't born under my heart, but in it." It still makes me tear up a little bit when I think about that. As I've gotten older and people ask me what it was like to be adopted, I don't have anything to say really. I just tell them that they're the only family I've ever known. A 99-year-old woman in Iowa makes a dress from scratch every single day so that African children in need will have something pretty to wear, and she adds a personal touch to each and every dress she makes. She said, "Mom, look," and struck this pose.
And Hulk. Smash.
I graduated middle school, not as exciting as high school or college, but it's something. This guy found the best spot in the park to rest. Made a bridge to the window she always stared but could never reach. My mom found a hobby to keep her busy while stuck inside. She sent me this and it made me really happy. Stop everything you're doing and look at this baby elephant's first time on the beach. Brilliant black minds gave me a shot in Hollywood when none of the white guys thought I could connect or be a leading man. I got my first starring role, Ace Ventura, because of In Living Color. I made this tie for my dad when I was in first grade. 11 years later he wears it to my graduation. Little boy invites his entire kindergarten class to witness his adoption. My 13-year-old daughter has been saving her money all year for a Nintendo Switch and Animal Crossing, but she just brought me all her money, $182, to donate to Black Visions Minnesota. I waited until she left the room to start crying. "Hey, I am following you on Twitter. DM me and tell me your address and I will send you my extra Nintendo Switch and a copy of Animal Crossing. That kid deserves some game time." No matter where you are from, we are glad you're our neighbor. Describe how you solved the problem. I really tried. You always really try. That's what I love about you. We only live once, Snoopy. Wrong. We only die once. We live every day. Today was my first day of physical therapy, and this was my therapist. Fancy, ain't he? My best friend and I got tattoos to celebrate 20 years of friendship. Meet Morris. He likes to peek out from under my sweatshirt to make sure I'm having a good day. Windows Media Player. 10-year-old me. Breaking news. Local stingray in great mood. The water is nice and warm and his flappy parts feel very flappy indeed. People can now adopt dogs who failed government training for being too friendly. I'll take 20. Kind Redditors sent my grandmother birthday cards for her 95th birthday. Thank you all. My mom buying me coins for my favorite game. Me watching her click the $10 option when I only asked for $5. Daughter wanted to open a lemonade stand. We warned her that people might not stop because of COVID. She got her mask and sanitizer and had been busy all day. European common spadefoot toad. True. Red American toadlet. Thank you mystery toad giver. Fowler's goad. Thank you. Banjo frog, aka Pobblebunk. Yes. Does he play the banjo? Better. His own call sounds like plucking a banjo string. Like Bonk Bonk, or Yoshi when he eats an apple. Oh my god. Incredible. Okay, I have to know. Who are you? I send you totes. That is just as good. How did you get my number? I think I just had it. That's valid. Okay, I will continue to not save your number and just enjoy the toad content. Bonk bonk. Today my wife is officially under 200 pounds and I was finally able to do a chin up for the first time in my life. I just saw a Reddit post by someone with extreme anxiety asking how to order a sandwich at Subway because they've never tried it, and someone replied and wrote out step-by-step instructions without being snarky or judgmental, and it's the kindest, sweetest thing I've seen in months. My parents left Afghanistan when I was less than a month old, seeking refuge in the Netherlands. They moved from one country to another so that their children could get the education they never received. I worked 3 jobs freshman fall, my mental health tumbling alongside my GPA. I've delivered laundry, flipped burgers, cleaned dorms, stocked shelves, ushered for events. I'm a Sikh, I'm an Afghan, I'm a refugee, I'm a first-gen student, and from today, I'm a graduate of Harvard. For 13 years we pretended to be cousins so we could rent a home together. We were told to keep curtains drawn so neighbors don't know what you are. We recently bought our own home. Now we voluntarily tell neighbors we are partners. It's time LGBTQ families are normalized too. While watching a movie with a boyfriend's family I fell asleep. In the silence of the film I passed gas so loudly it woke me up. Everyone heard it. That young man claimed the fart as his own. That's when I knew he loved me. I married him. Today we celebrate 15 years together. During her battle with cancer and after she beat it. Gonna tell y'all what I can hear now that I got my hearing aids. Birds, they chirp and it's so beautiful. Far away cow moos. My friend has this in his backyard and to say I cried is an understatement. My best friend's singing voice. Chickens, chicken noise, me, sobbing, the filter for my fish tank. Bubble bubble bubble. What was he doing here 7 years ago though? I joined for an AMA about a movie. Then I did another AMA about fitness and one where I screamed movie lines you guys requested. By that point I loved the conversation and humor here and people kept tagging me so I never left. Quadruplets, a 1 in 180 million story. A cow has apparently defied great odds and given birth to 4 calves that have been named Eenie, Meenie, Miney and Moo. The only news I need. I'd really like to hear the reasoning behind women who won't take their husband's last name, because my last name is best. Last night my Uber gave me a menu on what kind of ride I wanted. The stand-up. I tell you about things that are funny, to me at least, from prison stories to other poor life choices I've made. Don't get a lover's name tattooed on you, ever. The silent ride, the therapy ride. Got something on your mind? Let me help take it off. Talk to me. The creepy ride. I don't say anything. I just look at you from time to time in the rear view mirror, all creepy like. The rude ride. I be as rude as possible. Safety comes before anything. Please wear your seatbelt. I have chargers for every type of phone if you need one. Thanks for riding with me. Got to take my baby sister to her first daddy-daughter dance the other night. Sorry you don't have a dad but I'll always be there for you. A deer entered one of the shops in Colorado. The shop owner gave him some chocolate biscuits and chocolate. He came out of the store and returned after half an hour with all his family members. A kid in my school learned that my wife and I are having a baby and used her pocket money to buy us this. It says, "Stop me if you need medical advice. This is in Yemen." Today, surrounded by the beautiful Great Smoky Mountains in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I asked the love of my life to marry me, and she said yes. I almost lost it at the Disney store today. Why? I watched a father very firmly tell his little boy, "No, you can't have that Rapunzel dress." The boy was near tears until his dad continued, "That one's way too small. Let's find your size." Eventually, the little boy decided against the dress and, with his dad's blessing, picked out a tiara instead, because it's better for every day. In my experience, you will never find a group of folks more open and accepting than metalheads. A true metalhead is always looking to share their love of metal with anyone. They don't care about your skin color, religion, political allegiance. All metalheads are outcasts at one point or another and know how shitty that is. A true metalhead picks you up when you slip in the mosh pit. They make you crash on their couch instead of let you drive home when you've had too many. They check up on you when you go radio silent. They celebrate your accomplishments and console you in your defeats. When you've got a metalhead for a friend, you've got a friend for life. My parents in 1975 and again in 2020. They've been married and playing music together for over 45 years now. My mother passed away suddenly while I was studying in America. It was such a dark moment for me. She had been the most important person in my life, and I wasn't even with her when she died. I needed to get home to Zimbabwe for the funeral, but it was right before Christmas, so every flight was booked. The only ticket I could afford was a middle seat. It was so cramped, I couldn't even move my legs. But I happened to notice an empty seat in the exit row behind me. The flight attendant allowed me to change places, and I sat down next to a white girl. I remember thinking, she's going to hate me for taking up her space, but instead she smiled and made a joke. She said, "Welcome to exit row paradise." There was an immediate connection. Right away we began talking about deep things. I told her about my mother, and she told me that her father had also died suddenly while she was working overseas. We started sharing stories of our parents, and before we landed, she ordered 2 whiskey drinks in celebration of my mom. I spent 2 weeks in Zimbabwe. I told all my friends that my mother had put an angel on my flight. My trip home wasn't much easier. This time I had a long layover in London, so I sat down in the airport bar and ordered a beer, and in she walked. God had put us on the same flight once again. When we pulled out our tickets and looked at our seat numbers, we couldn't believe it. She was seat 61. I was 60. I hadn't even been looking to meet someone. I was determined to stay single and focus on my schoolwork, but it was like she had been brought to me. Everyone who meets Hannah tells me how lucky I am. She is so kind and smart and accomplished. We dated for almost 2 years before we got married. When I gave a speech at our reception, I didn't need notes because I knew our story. I told everyone about that girl I met on a plane, and I was looking at her as I spoke, and she was now my wife, and it made me so emotional. It was so hard to know how to feel. I wanted my mom to meet her so bad, but if my mom was still here, I'd never have met her. Somehow I'd found the most important person in my life because I lost the most important person in my life. So last night at like 2 in the morning, my boyfriend, who thought I was asleep, rolled over, kissed my forehead, and whispered in my ear, "I love you so much. I'm never going to leave you. I promise. Excuse me while I cry." I gave my 3-year-old 3 M&Ms to have, without rhyme or reason. She turned around and gave one to her grandmother and one to me. I've done a lot of things wrong in my life, but I tell you I must be doing something right here.